For today's video, I'm going to answer one of the questions that I receive quite often, and that's why I leave white portions in some of my images, or most of my images. And when I say white portions, I'll just show you an example here. I mean these kind of areas, just zoom in a little bit for you. These kind of areas that you see on the edges of my paintings, and sometimes even here, like the face, where I've only highlighted or shaded, I should say, certain areas. So I'm just going to, if I can get the camera to focus, which is proving difficult, I'm just going to cover the reasons why I do this in this video. So it's not going to be a massively long video or anything like that. I'll just go through some speed sketching just to get through that element of it, and then just show you the difference, sort of side by side, of why I leave these portions on the pictures that aren't fully painted, and then next to that I'll put another option, or another version I should say, of a painting where I've painted it properly, as a lot of people seem to think. And it's very easy to get very sort of OCD on these kind of things, so I can see why people do ask about it. But the reason is, if you leave little portions of light on an image, it's giving that sort of illusion excuse me, of light reflecting from it, as you would see on a real life object. If you look at, I don't know, so a cup or something like that, there's little elements of it that have got almost a white light on there where the sunlight, it just gives that appearance of not being fully coloured. So if we are to look at this image, for example, you can see where I've left the little elements that aren't painted in, or not fully painted, that just give that illusion of light falling on the subject. So I'm going to get on with that now, and just give you a side by side of why I do it. So one image with, one image without, and you'll just be able to see the difference, and hopefully that'll show you why I often employ that tactic. Okay, so I've just let the ink dry over the pencil marks there. When I go around the pencil, as you can probably tell, I don't follow it to the letter as such. It's just there as a guide, really. It's just so you can make amendments if need be whilst you're penciling out the image. But you can also do that once you've got the ink on there, as well, as I quite often do. So once the ink's dried, which should be about now, hopefully, I then just remove the ink lines, which is what I'm about to do. So if it hasn't dried, we'll soon find out. It's really annoying when it hasn't. Obviously, if I'm doing sort of professional type work for a client, then I would normally leave it much longer, just in case there is any chance of the ink still being wet. And obviously it's important to use a waterproof ink if you're going to go over the images with watercolour, which is what I'm about to do. So I'm going to use just one colour for this, which is a sort of a very light black, or grey, I suppose, it'll look on the camera. And to start with, I'm just going to colour the hair of each of these characters, which is a little character that I made up recently. And the one on the left I am going to leave with some little highlights, so I'm not going to fully colour the hair. And the one on the right, I'm going to colour the hair completely, just so you can see the difference, and then gradually I'll take sort of other areas and do the same thing. So I'm kind of giving more than one example on just a couple of images, otherwise I'd have to draw lots more out. So I'm going to start with that now. So I'll start just doing the one on the left and then move to the right. As I say, I'm only using one colour, which for this kind of image in my opinion, it just makes it look a little bit better, just because it's I don't know what it is really. It's more of I suppose a zombie or some sort of ghostly figure. I think it looks like something I vaguely probably seen on TV at some point, and it's just coming back to me because I've seen something similar somewhere. So whilst it sort of is my character, because I've not copied it from anywhere, but it does start to look familiar. So I think I've probably subconsciously seen it somewhere and made my own version of. But probably something my little boy watches on a DVD or something like that. But I don't know. But anyway, so I'm going to start just mixing some colour off camera here. You can see me doing it now. There we go. I'm just going to slide the picture over a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to just begin now, and as you'll see, certain areas I will paint to the edge and others I won't. I've actually been painting and drawing this character on some of my Facebook live videos, so if you head on over to my Facebook page, I do occasionally do live videos. Another thing you might notice, if you are painting the full area with watercolours, you go over the same piece of paper too many times and it will start to destroy or rip up the surface of the paper. Certainly the paper I'm using, so I'm not actually using watercolour paper here. I don't always use watercolour paper, it depends what I'm doing. But if you repeatedly go over it, it does start to, even with watercolour paper, it does start to break the surface up. Okay, so that's the hair done, obviously. It's not wrong to do it this way, you might prefer that, but as you can already see, it's got a little bit less kind of life to it. It's starting to look flat, and when you start to paint many parts of the rest of the image in the same way, then it does become even flatter and almost lifeless, in my opinion. As I say, it's not no rules as such, that's just my way of doing things. So what I'm going to do now, on the image on the right, I'm just going to start painting a few highlights in, again just with a single colour. and then we'll go from there. But something I've just noticed, I've actually forgotten just to do something around the eyes of both of the characters. Excuse me, that I like to do it just to, I suppose, age them slightly and make them look like they've not slept very well for quite some time. Okay, so going back to the image on the left. And I'm just going to add some shading to the ears. To the eyebrows. A little bit around the nose. And it doesn't matter if you go over the lines, I'm not trying to stick to the line or either side of it as such. The lines on the edge, you don't generally want to go over those, although I'm not too bothered about it. It gives it a nice kind of organic feel. And just a little bit around the eyes. Shadow under the chin. And sometimes what I'll do is just add a little bit of shadow on the main white parts as well, even on the inside of the eyes, but I'm not going to do too much of that now. I'm just going to put a little bit perhaps on the top of his head. Again, some people don't like this because it looks like you've gone over the lines, which I suppose technically you have, but I don't care. I think it looks better that way. I think that's about it for that one on the left. So on the right, I mean, it's not, I suppose that's probably a poor choice of colour in a sense, because it is going to look slightly flat with the colour that I've chosen for what I'm about to do, but it's still going to give you an idea of why I leave these little highlights. Even on the top of the ear here, you can see I've left some, and actually the main body of the face. So I'm going to lighten up the grey to do this, the character on the right. So it's the same colour, but just watered down version, otherwise it will look incredibly flat. So I'm going to colour the whole of the ear in to start with, and onto the face. Now generally if you're doing this, it would probably be a flesh tone colour. This just particular character I always paint in grey, but the same rules apply if you remove the little highlight areas. And the picture begins to look flat. You can introduce some darker shading in there as well. There's no rules against that. And there we have it. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see them both. There's no right or wrong really, it's just my way of doing things. I just think the one on the left has a lot more life to it than the one on the right, and it doesn't matter what colours you choose. If you remove the little highlights on there, or you fill in lots of the white areas, then generally it takes away a little bit of the life of the character. And but the main element that I feel makes the difference are just the edges. of the characters where that light shines through most. So there we have it, just a simple experiment for you, just to show you why I treat those kinds of drawings in the way I do. It's not that I'm being I suppose less fussy than I could be. It is just about trying to give the character a little bit of life and character, I suppose. But there we go. I hope this video has helped. Again, as usual, if you have enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. The more subscribers I get, the more videos I'll put on. I have to say, I haven't had many subscribe to the channel yet. I know the channel's new, so that will be partly the reason behind it. But I will make less videos if it doesn't pick up soon, because it's quite time consuming doing these and putting them on YouTube. So please like and subscribe, leave comments, and if you view the comments section, or the description section I should say, I've got links in there to my Etsy shop and my Facebook page where I'm more active, and my Instagram account as well. So I hope you enjoyed this, and see you again soon. Thank you.